And now our big focus story at this hour. A class 3 student, a third standard student in Shravasti district of Uttar Pradesh lost his life to the cruelty of his teacher who thrashed him badly for not paying the fees. The student succumbed after 8 days in a hospital in Bahraich on Wednesday. The family of the deceased alleges that the boy was beaten up mercilessly by the teacher over non-payment of fees. The deceased's brother states that he had deposited the school fee online, but the teacher did not know about it. The fee amount, by the way, was all of 250 rupees, according to the brother. Meanwhile, the police have informed that a case has been lodged against the teacher. Remember, this incident comes a day after the incident in Rajasthan's Jalore, where a 9-year-old was beaten up by his upper caste teacher for allegedly drinking water from a pot that was meant for the teacher. So before we go into the important and interesting details about this case, let's apprise our viewers on this issue of corporal punishment. What is corporal punishment? This is punishment of students that is physical in nature, action that causes pain, hurt, injury or discomfort to a child. What does the law say? Now, this is important because, a lot of the educational institutions across India in the rural parts are simply not aware that there is a law in place that prohibits physical punishment, mental harassment under Section 17 and makes it a punishable offence under Section 17 of this Act. Also, there is the Juvenile Justice Act, and Section 75 of the Juvenile Justice Act prescribes punishment for any kind of cruelty on children. So that is insofar as what the law says. So what qualifies as corporal punishment? There are NCPCR guidelines that actually detail what are the kind of actions that would amount to corporal punishment: hitting, kicking, scratching, pinching, biting, pulling the hair, boxing ears, smacking, slapping, spanking, hitting with any implement, whether it's a cane or a stick or a shoe or a duster or a belt for that matter, giving electric shock, making children assume an uncomfortable position, standing on the bench, standing against the wall in a chair-like position, standing with school bag on the head, holding ears through the legs, kneeling and forced ingestion of anything, detention in the classroom, library or toilet. It is important that these guidelines are made known, but as you would have imagined, many of these things are a common practice as corporal punishment in certain schools, especially in rural areas. Let's in fact go across to our panelists joining us this evening. Dr. Renu Sehgal, Principal of GD Goenka, Greater Noida; Dr. Preeti Ojha, Principal of DPS Dwarka and of the Expressway Gurugram. I have Advocate Meenu Padha, women and child rights activist, and Pradeep Rawat, founder of Noida and Gurugram Students and Parents Association. Okay, we don't have Mr. Pradeep right now, but the ladies are with me. Thank you so much for joining me here on the program. We have two school principals, and I have quite a few questions with regards to what kind of safeguards do schools have? Is there enough awareness around it? Dr. Ojha, if I may come to you first. You are the principal of a reputed school, a DPS. Tell us more about how is it that these incidents happen, and do the school management have to take a responsibility that such cases do not take place within the school campus?
Thank you so much to callers for this very important discussion, because schools are taking a very strong precaution against such acts in the school. And we definitely do not see this happening suddenly one day in a school. This has a very periodic cascaded effect. This kind of a behavior of a teacher or an adult, even for a children in that particular form, comes with lots of feedbacks and instances where the school management, the school leader has to take care of it in such a way that these things are oriented and expectations of schools need are supposed to be told to the parents, teachers, and the management has to take a very strong hold of it. We have committees formed in our school specifically when any such instances take place. And we make sure that the committee members have unbiased members like the teacher, the student, a person from the outside, some people who can let us know how to reform a condition rather than punishing to make it more severe. And anyways, any such instance which comes to a school has to be immediately reported to the leader
Dr.
of the
Oja
school or the
is
principal.
a teacher who is recruited by a school, and I'll ask this question to both the school principals. Are they given any kind of information or orientation about what is prohibited when it comes to taking action against a student?
Definitely. A very
Okay.
strong induction, orientation of the teacher takes place at least twice a year. And they are also checked with lots of appraisals and references which are taken from their previous school. Their
Okay.
mental health condition is also checked to find the emotional and physical status of the teacher, whether they are good to get inside a classroom where children are waiting for a very unbiased and a beautiful environment.
Yes, this I imagine is about the urban schools. But what about schools in the far-flung areas? Dr. Renu Sehgal, you are principal of a school in Greater Noida. It's in Uttar Pradesh. And this incident that we are reporting today is from Shravasti district of the state that you belong to. Are you of the belief that while in the schools in the urban areas and cities, there must be enough checks and balances, as Dr. Ojha was telling us, in the other districts, is there a laxity on the part of the school management? What about government schools? Do they also follow the rules that Dr. Ojha was just pointing out?
Thank you, Afreeda. I think Dr. Oja has said rightly that all school leaders are supposed to apprise all the faculty members in a school at the time of appointment, and from time to time their orientation should be done. Maybe she said twice a year, but in our school we do it 4 times in a year, once in 1 quarter.
Okay.
Because I feel, at the time of appointment or at the time of appraisal, these points are taken into consideration. But yes, this is also being done in government schools also. But I tell you about the remote areas or the rural areas where lot of ignorance is there. So it is the duty of the school leader who should be taking this responsibility, that how to train our teachers, and we need to tell them that various committees have to be formed, and teachers and the committee members have to be neutral.
But isn't it true,
unbiased.
Dr. Sehgal, that there is often a very stringent policy when it comes to payment of fees? We know how many reminders are sent. We are told, and I'm a mother of 2 school-going kids, and I can tell you, we are told you'll not get your report card. The child often feels belittled, when such kind of diktats are made. And it is not just about physical punishment. Let's just put it here loud and clear. Even mental harassment, even cornering a child, intimidating a child for non-payment of fees, for instance, amounts to corporal punishment, which is why I put out that graphics right away. Can we say that in urban schools, in urban centers, that doesn't happen, Dr. Sehgal?
Yes, Afreeda, it doesn't happen in urban schools. The reminders are never given to the children. Reminders are always given to the parents by making personal calls, by making personal messages by the schools. We don't indulge the child into this particular thing. The child should not know that the parents are unable to pay the fee or have not paid the fees, because that will disturb their mental health also. So the children should not be involved at all in this particular communication process. The school has to sort out the strategies and the processes by which parents can be communicated about this, because it is the fee has to be dealt between the school management and the parents. The children are there.
UP
they
was
have a
about
right
payment of fees. But the previous incident in Jalore in Rajasthan was rather appalling, was extremely disturbing, because there you have the casteism factor, the factor about a teacher not allowing a child to drink from the same pot. I mean, just imagine a thirsty child picks up a cup or a glass and drinks the water from it and gets beaten up so mercilessly because according to the teacher, he doesn't belong to the same caste and does not have the right to drink from it. And the child actually succumbs to that merciless beating. So that is the level of apathy. I mean, who employs, who recruits such people as teachers in government schools?
I'm sure the teacher who has done this particular act must be suffering with some psychological factors, I think.
So why are there no checks and balances? Advocate Meenu Padha, and Pradeep Rawat, coming to the two of you now. Advocate Pada, what can we do about this? Can there be enough surveillance across schools in rural and urban centers, both? Because I do not want to absolve the urban schools at all. They may not be, the ostensible physical corporal punishment. There are other kind of harassment. In the rural areas, there's a certain kind of harassment that is more visible. But tell us, Advocate Meenu Pada, what is lacking, what is going wrong, that these brutes, these rogue elements, and I have no qualms in calling them so, can beat up a child to death?
It's very bad.
Yeah, it's really an unfortunate incident that you have quoted about the Rajasthan actually. When
Yes.
I was researching about these incidents, that was really disturbing. As Madam has said, there's committees. But if I talk about the Jammu and Kashmir, because I'm from J&K, I have never seen such kind of committee neither in government schools nor in private schools, Madam. Because I think, as we know that there is POSH Act that deals with sexual harassment at workplace, which makes it mandatory for any workplace which have 10 employees that there should be a committee to deal with the sexual harassment in that workplace. But there is neither any a committee thing has been mentioned in any act, neither in Right to Education Act nor in Juvenile Justice Act. I think that should be mandatory, because if there will be any committee, that committee like as a NCPCR has issued a guideline and also given a recommendation that there should be a corporal punishment monitoring cell in every school, in which two teachers must be there and one lawyer should be involved in this, one counselor must be there. I think that is very important, so that if any child issues some kind of things, he or she can report before that committee. And actually this committee has some deterrent effect upon the teacher as well. These kind of teacher who are going to do such kind of heinous act. So I think first of all they must be booked under law, as the punishment has already been given to the person who has the headmaster who has done in this Rajasthan wala thing. उसने तो उसको already punishment has already been, he has been booked under culpable homicide and hurt and so many sections under JJ Act. I think this corporal punishment monitoring cell that has been recommended by the NCPCR, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. This is the only way that that can help us to curb.
Are you saying that should be there in every school, or is it supposed to be more at the district level that will monitor, whether there is corporal punishment in certain schools or not? How should it be placed? The corporal punishment monitoring cell that you're talking about, what is the mandate for them?
See, as I know, this is the POSH Act. As I have already talked about the POSH Act. In POSH Act, there is a district committee as well. Like for dealing with the district, there are district officer who is a DC of that concerned district, who is in charge of that district committee. Local complaint committee is the name. And in every workplace within that district, there is a specific committee, that is internal complaint committee. Even if I'm a member of that Jammu University Internal Complaint Committee Against Sexual Harassment, Mata Vaishno Devi University Committee Against Sexual Harassment. So every workplace, whether it is university, same kind of cell should be instituted in every institution.
So the district authorities, the state government must also enforce this. There is an education department, there is a women and child welfare department. These are ministries that are funded by taxpayers' money. They cannot be sleeping on the job. There must be enough and more regulation to ensure that this does not happen. How can you have a situation where a punishment turns fatal for a school child? Sumaira is joining me. She is a viewer who's joining me on the program from Bengaluru. Yes, Sumaira ji, go ahead. What is your view on this issue?
Yes, this is Sumaira here. Thank you very much for having me on. So this is an extremely sad situation, and this is not the first time we are seeing this in India. This is happening almost on a daily basis. This is a case of a child. It's happening with women. There are multiple crimes happening. I think so punishment is one, but where are we seeing what is happening to them? So I think the media houses are covering basically what the story initially as to this happened, but I think that follow-up should be there as to what is going to happen, for example, to that teacher who actually killed the child, right? That's because the other people who might do crimes like this should be, should be afraid. There should be some kind of follow-up on the same, on the same story to say this is what happened to that teacher. I think our justice system has become so slow. So, but let's say just like Bilkis Banu waited for 18 years just to see her rapist allowed outside.
So you are saying that our criminal justice system also has to put its act together to punish these kind of offenders very strongly. And then, of course, you're putting the responsibility on us as journalists that these stories must be followed up so that everyone gets to know what action was taken that can prove to be a deterrent. Pradeep Rawat, who is the founder of Noida and Gurugram Students and Parents Association. Well, thanks, Sumaira, for joining us with that valuable point of view. Pradeep Rawat, where is the problem according to you that such incidents are happening in close succession? You have two cases. And let's just, also put this out that it may be possible that all of the cases across the country are not even reported. But whenever it comes to our notice, we make it a point to put it out for our viewers to know that this cannot be allowed. It's against the law, and the system must be corrected to ensure that such incidents don't happen. Pradeep Rawat?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to the show. First thing first, whatever happened in Rajasthan or whatever happened in UP, both cases clearly signify that there is no fear among teachers or the teachers community that if they do something like this to the child, nothing is going to happen to them. The fact remains there should be very stringent laws, and law should be, once teachers are being appointed, they should be told in specific terms, no physical punishment should be meted out to any child. That should be the clear message given across to all the students as well as the parents as well as teachers as well. If any teacher even, raises his voice, that should not be allowed. I understand sometimes it happens, teachers feel that child is not listening to them, or maybe he's, being naughty or something else. But that can be, there are many other ways of handling a child. There should be psychologists, the guidance in the schools, so that whenever teacher feels like putting his point across, he should not get physical, number one. Secondly, as far as I am concerned, I have been in touch with the parents from Delhi, NCR, Gurgaon, Noida, and basically all the parents around this area. I totally disagree with the fact that even in places like Delhi, NCR, children are made aware of the fact that their parents have not paid the fees. Because I have come across a lot of parents, they report to me and they tell us that especially after the COVID period, a lot of parents lost their income power or they lost their jobs. And basically children were made aware of the fact that your parents are not paying the fees, and they were either made to sit in the library for long hours. They were told in certain specific terms. Obviously, in Delhi NCR, teachers didn't raise their hands on the kids, but children were made to feel small. They were made to feel as if they have committed a crime, as if when their parents were not able to pay the fees.
Why can't there be, Mr. Pradeep Rawat, a periodic system where you have a meeting of school representatives, of principals at a district level at least once a month, to take stock of the situation, to report instances where there have been any kind of irregularity on teachers' behavior towards the child, and put system in place? This has to be a continuous, sustained program. It cannot be that one incident take place and then everybody gets into action and then everything is forgotten. There has to be a regular, sustained program in every district, perhaps, because as we see, this has happened in Rajasthan, this has happened in Uttar Pradesh. We spoke to the chairperson of the National Commission of Protection of Child Rights earlier. Mr. Kanugu had to say that the problem is there isn't enough orientation and sensitization programs, particularly in government schools, because of which this is happening. Let's listen in.
This is definitely not the first time that a case of corporal punishment has come to the fore. What safeguards does the law of the land offer in such cases?
देखिए, कॉर्पोरल पनिशमेंट को राइट टू एजुकेशन एक्ट का सेक्शन 17 प्रोहिबिट करता है भारत में. इसके साथ साथ जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट का सेक्शन 75 और आईपीसी के वेरियस सेक्शंस हैं जो इस तरीके के बच्चों को साथ शारीरिक या मानसिक प्रताड़ना को प्रतिबंधित करते हैं. और एनसीपीसीआर ने समय समय पर एडवाइजरीज जारी की हुई हैं, बहुत सारे एक्शन हुए हैं, लेकिन ये बात सही है कि टीचर्स के ओरिएंटेशन और सेंसिटाइजेशन के अभाव में कुछ स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स की जो जिम्मेदार ऑफिसर्स हैं, उन ऑफिसर्स की लापरवाही के कारण टीचर्स का ओरिएंटेशन नहीं हो, इस तरीके की घटनाएं आज भी सामने आती हैं। ये बात भी सही है कि जो टीचर ट्रेनिंग का करिकुलम है, कई यूनिवर्सिटीज के करिकुलम को हमने एनालाइज किया है, उसमें चाइल्ड राइट्स प्रोटेक्शन को लेके पर्याप्त सेंसिटाइजेशन के लिए कंटेंट का अभाव है। तो ये सारी बातें मिलजुल कर अभी भी स्थिति को ठीक करने की तरफ ले जाने में गति को धीमा करते हैं।
So there you heard it, and I want to go back to Dr. Renu Sehgal and Dr. Preeti Ojha. Dr. Ojha, again, like I said, since we need to put a system in place, what would be your recommendations?
I feel very strongly an orientation and expectations of schools should be showcased to the parents from the very beginning, and throughout the year it should be sustained. A very strong SOP should be created to let the school staff, I include the teachers as well as the other staff members, to know how exactly in any situation which may come should be taken care of. How the committee has to be registered also is to be very carefully done, where each member should be told and oriented that in a case, how exactly the safety, security of the child is the most important aspect other than anything else. And the most important thing which I can see throughout this conversation is whenever such a condition comes up is usually when the communication between the parent and the school dilutes to some extent. When the school really needs the parents to come forward for a conversation, through this medium, I request the schools to make sure that they are sent through emails as well as through SMS, and parents also should promptly come forward for any discussion, and discussions can be not always right or wrong. It can be always 50% of the school, 50% of the parent mutually getting in consideration to some situation and to find a solution.
Okay, you're saying
That's
it's a
the ultimate
joint
agenda.
responsibility. All the stakeholders must come together. Dr. Renu Sehgal, if you see the kind of description and the kind of definition that is laid down in the guidelines, I seriously doubt that schools across India are sensitized to follow it. Is there a problem of awareness?
Yes, certainly there is a problem of awareness. I would recommend that when the teachers, like we have made it mandate, a teacher has to do a B.Ed or a nursery training program. So during these programs also it should be done that what is corporal punishment, what are the implications of this, the knowledge and the awareness about this should be included in the B.Ed program also. And when at the time of selection of the teachers, proper orientation should be done. The various things are happening. CBSE is implementing about apprising the principals and the leaders.
Okay.
Other councils are also apprising about corporal punishments, and many workshops are being organized by CBSE online platform. Now 50 hours of training per year is mandate for a teacher, where all these health, mental health education or corporal punishment and NEP
Yes.
2020.
But yet it is proving to be
everything.
insufficient, Dr. Renu Sehgal, yet it is proving to be not enough to safeguard our children. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us here on the program. We wanted to put this issue out there so that there is awareness created about the fact that there are strong laws against corporal punishment, and no one should think that they can get away hurting a child. Not a teacher, not anyone, no staff of a school can get away with it. Thanks for joining me in this conversation.